At the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about what you've done with those accomplishments. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better. It's about what you've given back. Denzel Washington. Welcome to Inspire Vision. Our sole purpose is to elevate the lives of others and to inspire you to do the same.
Hey folks, Dr. Doug here. Thanks for joining us today. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she was sharing with me that someone that she knows just graduated with a master's degree in school and cannot find a job. And, you know, I've heard this more and more, and today I'm really pleased to have Paul Day on the show with us. Paul is CEO and founder of Innovate Tech Charlotte, and he has developed an really incredible concept to help kids get out of high school and to actually get good paying jobs. Paul, how are you doing today?
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings, peace and many blessings. First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Doug, for having me here today. I am doing well. Thanks again for having me.
Well, I'm really pleased to have you on the show. You know, you and I have talked by the phone a couple of times, and I am just really excited for you to share your thoughts on what's going on and what you're actually doing, because I think it is magnificent. But, you know, for the audience, just kind of give them a history of who you are and, you know, how did you get to what you're doing now? Because that's always a fascinating thing for people to understand.
So thank you very much for asking. I'll give you a little bit of background about me and like you said, kind of how I got here. So the early 2000s, I went into the Air Force, and the Air Force, I was working with a lot of three-letter agencies, CIA, DIA, NSA, and a lot of other three-letter agencies. And some of the folks I was working around were actual astronauts in terms of they were generals that were astronauts as well. And you know, I'm still just appalled by that I was working with real astronauts that actually been in outer space.
Yeah.
So the Air Force, first of all, exposed me to a lot of things and made me realize that anything is possible. So from there, I got out of the military and I decided to work with Fortune 500 companies doing ethical hacking. I was an ethical hacker. I did cybersecurity. That means I was a hacker. I was a good hacker that kept out the bad hackers. And ethical, the ethical
Okay.
part of it, just FYI for everyone, the ethical part means that you're given permission to get into their accounts and be able to do hacking for them. So just to give people a background of why they call it ethical hacking.
Got it.
So from there, I heard the Most High, God, tell me that it was time for me to get out of that and serve my purpose. And my purpose was to serve humanity, and it was through technology, through digital. Everything in the future will be digital. Every company in the world will be digital. So that's number one. But in 2017, late 2017, Amazon was looking for a second headquarters. Charlotte, North Carolina, where I am, was being we were being auditioned for that second headquarters, and that we didn't actually make it. They said that we didn't have the technology talent. So with that, I decided to start something for the youth to get us this talent, and it's called Innovate Tech Charlotte. And a little bit about Innovate Tech Charlotte: we are a nonprofit after-school STEM program. We are the most innovative STEM program in the world. We are. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and explain what STEM is.
Oh, yep. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay, great, thanks.
And so we became the most innovative STEM program in the world because we do what's called emerging technologies, technologies of the future that are being used today, but the power of them actually haven't been fully unloaded yet. That's why they call them emerging technology, meaning they're going to take over pretty much of the future, such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain. We also talk to them a little bit about quantum computing, and we do some leadership as well. But that's not the special part about our program. The special part about our program is that we do certifications and internships. We are the first STEM program in the world to actually do that as well and incorporate that. And because of that, we made it a patent education process as well. So we put a patent on our process because we understand that there is no program in the world like this. And this is going to help the educational program from the top down. Looking at our program actually looks like a college without the 25 to 30 years of debt.
Wow, and so those kids are going to your program after school.
That's correct. And they're high school students as well.
Okay, so your main focus is high school students and perhaps those that have already graduated. That do you work with students that have graduated and can't find a job and want to get into technology?
So lately, I have been working with those students as well and adults, just because adults now are seeing the power of what we're doing, that they're high school students are coming out of high school making 50, 60, $70,000, which is unheard of. And I have, to be honest, I have parents coming to me like in tears because they it's hard to believe until you see it. Just a basic Python cert, which is Python is just a computer language, how to talk to computers so the computer does things.
Uh-huh.
But just a basic Python cert, you're talking the minimum 60 to $70,000 a year, and that's starting off.
And you somehow now with your certification, is that a self-proclaimed certification, or have you found that you're getting notice and certification approval from different groups?
So if I understand you, what you're saying, you're asking me, is it something from my group that's given them certifications, or is it a nationally known certification? Is
Yes,
that what you're asking?
yes.
So yes, that's one of the things. So we give them a certificate. Their certificate is a completion saying that they went through our program, but they also get real certifications that we pay, to those nonprofits or whatever. I guess those groups are, and we actually give them real certifications that are not our certifications, but are actually, in big boards that are known with large companies. So
Right.
yes.
Yeah, so the large companies then see those certifications and they go, wow, you know what, this is really something. You know what's really interesting? I have three sons and a daughter,
Oh, cool.
and three of them have gone to college and or are still going to college,
Hmm.
and have been blessed to come out and be able to work. Um, I have one son that chose not to go to college, and because of his own industry and so forth, has done very well for himself and is continuing to be innovative and doing that type of thing. What's interesting is there's this whole concept out there that college is going to be what's going to help you to be successful in life. And I think that paradigm is changing a bit, don't you think?
I agree 1000%. The way I put this, and let me be clear first of all before I say go any further, that we don't tell our students not to go to college. What we tell our students is, if you want to go to college, start your career first and then go to which here in Charlotte, North Carolina, we have a lot of the big banks here, TIA, CREF, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Go work for a corporation like that, and after 2 or 3 years, they'll pay off of all of your college if you want to go to college with them. So, but college these days, it really is overrated for what you're getting and the debt that you have after college. No one wants their child to start their life in debt or to have to take out a second mortgage. As we know, like I said before, that this is the day of information, that every company in the future will be a digital company. Um, for technology, a full degree is not needed. You can go to a boot camp for 3 to 6 months and come out and make more money than the average person, and you're in less debt.
Well, and I think you've hit it on the head. Is technology is really becoming the forefront. I mean, for instance, here in Utah, we have become a major technological center, and it's surprising that that's happened over the last 5 to 10 years. And now all of a sudden, I think they're having the similar situation that you guys are facing over there. Is do they have enough young people that are coming out of school that have
Mhm.
been trained in the technology so that they can actually move forward and in that particular type of area. So I think this is fascinating. So who is your target market? I mean, as you're working with different students, is there a particular group that you focus on, or is it more general? What have you found?
So I found that our students, first of all, need to have a C grade and up. And I could, for other reasons, I could make it a B average student and up. But even me in high school, I actually was a C average student until I became a little bit older and I was able to focus. So my problem was focus.
Right.
And once I was able to focus, I realized that I have this genius in me, and I was able to understand technology really fast, and I could do things, and I got all these certifications, and I became, like I said, which I believe I have genius in me, truly.
Yeah.
To a certain, and to be honest, to a certain degree, I see myself as a superhero. I have a superpower, and my superpower is technology. When I do technology, I feel energized. I feel like I can do almost anything. And to be honest, my kryptonite is working for a company. In terms of a 9 to 5 job, that's my kryptonite. But yeah, so yeah, that's our students are C average students, and they're actually they're diverse students. So we help every student of every single background. I think technology is like, to me, in my mind, technology is like listen to rock and roll or something. Like, music is for everybody, and I think technology is the same way. But technology of the future will be for students that see technology as cool, as maybe rebels, and instead of how they're looking at it now as technology maybe for geeks or dorks. But to get back on topic, our course is for almost every student, as long as they're between ninth and 12th grade.
Okay, and as you say, you're diverse in who comes in. Have you found that this is working well for low income as well as middle income backgrounds, or do you find one over the other?
To be honest, w- to be honest, the students that have done STEM before, the students that are more diverse in their background in terms of being exposed to more, actually do better in our program because they come in without those limits that maybe some other students may have, to be honest with you.
Okay, explain that a little bit to the audience. What you're talking about there. Come on.
So, and I guess I'm trying to be careful, because I don't want to limit I don't want people to hear this and say, all right, well, that program isn't for me, because we're trying to go international with our program. But
Right.
to to be honest, the students that have parents that uh, maybe let them explore a little bit more, that don't tell their students no, that tell their students they can do anything. A student that maybe have a solid background that's a little bit more mature, in their mindset. They do very well in our classes because they have that mature mindset that they're not afraid to ask a question. They're not afraid of the possibility of a what if. They're not afraid to break things sometimes. They're not afraid to fail fast. So those normally are not my students that are from low income. Sometimes I've had a few that are, but those normally aren't. Or a lot of my better students actually are students that have parents that are in the technology field as well.
Okay, so they recognize what you're doing and the value, and actually being able to get their kids into that in an early phase in their lives. By the time they get out of high school, they're ready to roll.
That's exactly right. And I'll say this here that I have a saying that this is the day of information. And in this day of information, of what we call the digital revolution, whoever can leverage this information will lead the masses. And if you look at the top billionaires, which to me, wealth is not money, but wealth is an indication, or excuse me, money can be an indication of a certain type of wealth. So the wealthiest people or the most financial free people at the very top, the billionaires, most of them are technology gurus, and um, most of them have not finished college. They maybe went to college for a year or two, but they have not finished college.
Yeah, and rightfully so in some cases. I did finish college. I went on to graduate, and got
Me too.
my dental degree, and yet I found that and it was great. But now, as I see the dentists graduating and coming out with $200,000-300,000 in debt, oh my
Mhm.
goodness. And
Wow.
and when you see, and the physicians, the medical doctors, even more than that. And when you
Man.
see that going on and recognize that, unless it's really a deep, deep passion, a lot of times I think that these young people go into these different areas because they think that that's going to be, quote, where they can provide the best for their families. And I
Hmm.
think usually that's really the case. It's not about making the most amount of money. It's just being able to provide well for their families. And what's interesting, as you're saying, is with the technology that's going on now, that is really becoming an arena where people literally can get out there and start doing things and working in an arena where they may not have been able to afford college, but
Hmm.
they, I would assume, can afford to do this.
That is very correct. Our program is very low cost, and respect to all the doctors out there. We obviously need doctors, but as I said before, technology will technology innovation. Um, Everything will be digital in the future. Technology is the future, and I'm sure you can see it in every medical field. Technology, that's what's going to push the innovation. You cannot do it now without technology.
No question about it. In fact, when I go to the dentist, because I sold my practice back in '96, when I go to the dentist now and I'm looking at their digital x-rays and everything else they use, and even, I'm not going to get into it, but you're right. They are doing so much from a digital perspective and a technological perspective. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And you're right that that's the direction that we're going. And I think those that have the ability to get in there and be involved in that are going to be the leaders of the future.
That's right. And I said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter what field you're going in, you still need to understand the technology or the digital aspect. My predictions, as a visionary, is that even dentists, I don't care what type of medical field you're in, technology will be in the future part of any course that you take. whether it be for police officers, firemen. And it sounds crazy at first. And then when you think about it, you're like, wow, that is the future, that they will have to learn technology as well as learn what they do as a regular job. Technology will be part of their job, will be part of a course that they'll have to take in order to do their job. And if you can't do technology, you will not be in that job. Just like now, and I have to say this, that a lot of people think that when this is over with the pandemic that we will go back to normal. Well, there is no normal. This is the new normal. And even when this is over, those companies will see the power of not and I can't say not having employees. They'll need employees, but doing things more digital, having AI automate some of those digital processes that they may have. If especially if they're too top heavy, like some of the banks will never go anywhere, but they're going to change the way they look because they're too top heavy. More people are going to work from home. They have to predict that this is going to happen again.
Well, and again, those that get involved in technology are going to have tremendous opportunities for job
That's correct. That's
opportunities
correct.
and being able to earn the income to support their families. Now, I'm going to ask you a personal question, and I hope
Sure.
that's okay, because you really got me thinking. You mentioned that you were a C student, and as you were going
In
through
high
high
school.
school, in high school.
Yep.
No, I get
And
that.
only in high school.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. But this is who we're talking about. We're talking about our high school youth right now, okay? And
Mhm.
and here you were, quote, a C student, which quite frankly, I think is really a shame that we even label like that, to
I
be
agree.
honest with you.
Mhm.
Because what I have found is that depending on the individuals, they have a different way of thinking. Some are right brain, some are left brain, some are more spatial thinking, and our educational system kind of just focuses on one way. And so those that happen to be more innovative, and as you say, more curious, sometimes don't necessarily score well on those standard tests and that type of thing. So here
Mhm.
you were growing up in high school, you know, average, and then all of a sudden you use the word curiosity. Curiosity. And I want to
Yes.
talk about that. What do you find as you suddenly found that sense of curiosity, and all of a sudden, obviously, you moved into a very amazing projection of where you went and what you've done. What do you find curiosity does for our high school students that seem to be just kind of going along?
Curiosity makes you a little bit different. I realize as a, a youth myself, when I was a youth, that being curious makes you a little bit maybe of an outsider because you want more than what people settle for. You want more than what you've been told. They used to say the world was flat. They used to say before the Wright brothers that we couldn't fly, but curiosity said, well, if a bird can fly, well, why can't I? If I can build this boat or this ship, how far can I go? So these are the things that I was curious about. And I'll tell you actually what happened to me when I was young. And this is why I say, like, I was kind of made fun of a little bit. I was kind of popular, but kind of made fun of as well because I thought simple. So now with me being able to understand complicated things, but break it down in a simple way that actually helped me. And when I say simple, I'm talking about simple inventions in terms of a doorknob. I was fascinated by a doorknob because without a doorknob, you couldn't get in and out of a door back then. And that simple mechanics of a doorknob, I kept thinking, who in the world thought of this? How did they think of it? And it may be laughable, but I would tell someone that laugh at me, can you create something as a doorknob? What have you created that honestly has touched millions or billions of lives? As simple as a doorknob. That's that to me. I'm still amazed by it. I'm still amazed. Just a doorknob.
Well, and so you bring up an interesting thing as we look at our high school students to a large degree. they are affected by society, number one,
Hmm.
school, number two, parents, number three.
Yes.
So I don't know if you're a
Hmm.
parent yet, uh,
Hmm.
but it's a challenge sometimes. I know, having brought up four kids, it's a challenge sometimes to have a child who is extremely curious, because guess what? They get into trouble. They do things that normally you wouldn't, you're not able to control so much, and that becomes a challenge. But what would you say to those parents who have children that are curious?
I would say, cultivate that, keep them busy. I believe in, which some of the school system really don't believe in this, of failing fast. If you cannot fail, you cannot learn. And I have one other thing that I need to say as well, that I have a gift. Everyone has a gift. And a gift is something that you were born with. A gift is something that no one can fire you from. You can't get fired from your gift that you were born. It's part of your birthright. In the good book, it says that your gift will bring you before kings. Um, but your gift is in your value. And your value is not how hard you work on your job, but your value is how hard you work on yourself. And that value is actually in your purpose. So your purpose is actually what you bring to the world. So you have to understand your gift, the value that you bring, which is how hard you're working on yourself, not your job or anybody else. Because the more valuable you become, the more people will research you and sought you out. And then that is in your purpose. Understand your purpose and what you're supposed to bring to the world, because it's not about us at the end of the day.
And I love that. And you obviously had a unique experience where you literally sensed and were shown that even in spite of what you were doing, and obviously you were in a highly amazing situation and position where you were working with the government as you were,
Mhm.
and yet at some point in time you experienced sufficiently that sense of a greater purpose that you literally have moved in an entirely different direction. And now it seems that your whole focus is really to help others and to really
To
do that.
serve. Yeah,
And
to serve.
you know what? I think that that's basic among all of us. I really do. And oftentimes we don't recognize that, or I think oftentimes we find that because we're so busy trying to support a family and doing all of those things, that we're not sure that we can actually fulfill a purpose higher than just getting out there and working and bringing food and so forth to the family. So, what would you
Mhm.
say? I mean, what are your thoughts about, first of all, recognizing and discovering what your purpose is, number one, and then number two, do you just quit everything and move towards the purpose, or do you find that sometimes you can discover that purpose and very carefully start doing that and still maintain what you're doing in order to be able to support your family and so forth?
I first of all, when you discover your gift, then you have to understand the value in, like I said, your purpose, which your purpose is always to serve humanity, to make us all better. But whatever you find out about yourself, which takes it takes finding yourself. A lot of people don't find themselves because we're so busy following everyone else. We don't realize that we're unique, and the gifts that we have cannot be given again. We are special. So if someone says, "Oh, you think you're special," you are special, because once you die, there will never ever in the history of humanity be another you. Whatever thoughts you have, whatever wisdom you have, whatever knowledge you have, once you die, that dies with you. So I would start with whatever you want to do, is it possible? And then if you know it's possible, that's your starting point. And then I would say go find a mentor that's doing something like what you're doing, or doing something similar to what you're doing. Never ever try to do it by yourself. We're creatures of habit, meaning we need to be around each other. We need to be in groups, but find people like you that's going in your same direction. And mainly that's a mentor that can trail that blaze that trail for you. That's where, understanding, is it possible, having that mentor. And then I would say reading a book. Readers are leaders. You have to read a book. Almost any and everything you want to do is in a book to some certain degree. A book is so powerful that people are taking 20, 30, 40 years of their experience and they're putting it in a book for you. There's nothing more powerful than that. And I wish I understood how powerful a book was when I was a little kid. I would have been reading books earlier, but I didn't understand the power of a book. And that can be in a form of an audio book. I do both. I do audiobooks, and I actually like to do the physical books and
Yeah.
read so much that I don't listen to music anymore. Even when I'm in my car, that's all I listen to are audiobooks. I'm constantly trying to guard what's up here between my ears because this is the most powerful thing in the universe. This is very powerful. The mind is so powerful that we right now are living in someone's mind. And you may say, well, Paul, how am I living in someone's mind? The house, the structure that you're living in started in someone's mind before it was built. It was built in their mind first. When you want to build a house, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to build a house and put a whole bunch of sticks and rocks together. No, no. It's before you start it, it's already finished, meaning the blueprint's already there. And then you're just having people put it together, the framers, the plumbers, and everybody else come in and put those things together. The mind is very powerful. That's how powerful the mind is.
So, what is your overall goal? I know you've mentioned, and by the way, that was fantastic what you were just saying. When you consider Innovate Tech, now right now it's
Mhm.
Charlotte, and you have mentioned and suggested that you really want to go international. What are your goals? Share with the audience what you're looking to achieve with this.
We are looking to do what I call digital transformation. There's different forms of digital transformation, but we are looking to touch the world in terms of education to digitally transform students, meaning we want to transform lives digitally through generational, which I guess I would consider like a generational wealth, making them wealthy through technology, through digital transformation of wisdom, not just education, but making them a little bit wiser, a little bit more educated, and changing that educational structure that's already there by giving them the certifications, the internships, so they can go right into their career instead of doing that 25 to 30 years of debt.
So you're in Charlotte right now. Where's your next location?
So to, the way we're actually doing this is most of it is going to actually be online.
Okay.
And that's how we're reaching most of the students that we're reaching now. So we are in different places in the United States a little bit in terms of not a location, but in terms of online. But the international waters is where we're trying to figure out now, how do we do more international with the different hours and everything else.
Okay, so online. So let's say that a parent is listening right now to the show
Mhm,
and
mhm.
they go, "Wow, I would love for my child to get involved in this." Is that possible?
That is possible. Even for we're ramping up right now for our summer program, and our summer program is a week long, and we have 3 weeks of this, the end of June. So that would be the first step if they're listening right now. And then we have an annual program, which is the from September all the way into next June or May or June. Um, that would be the second step. But first, get into our week-long summer program to see if your student may like what we have to offer. And the summer program really is the teaser to our real program, the annual
Right.
program, to be honest.
And is it once they've gone through the annual program, have they reached that point where they're starting to get those certifications, or is there programs beyond that?
So there's programs beyond that. We ask that students don't go through 1 year. So if you're a senior and you say, "Oh, I want to just do 1 year of this," I believe, and my team believes as well, that it won't be that effective. Which you can still, go into a good career after this. But we ask that you come out in ninth or 10th grade to start learning. But seniors, juniors are still welcome as well.
Okay, so even seniors, if they do that and graduate from high school, they can continue on with the program. How long is the program to really get to the point where you have the necessary knowledge and certifications to be able to move into a good job?
It's really about 2 years because our junior and senior year, and this is why we patent our process, because our junior and senior year is actually when they start to do the internships. So ninth and 10th grade is actually when they're actually learning. And junior and senior, like I said, is when they're doing the internships and actually doing our program.
Wow. Okay, so the next question, there's a lot of people that are finding that technology is pushing them out of jobs. And you had mentioned that some adults come into this. Is this something that adults could get a hold of you and actually get involved, knowing that they're going to commit to a 2-year program, and then beyond that, doing some internships and so forth? So thinking long term rather than short term, realizing, you know what, if I were to go back to school, it could take me 4 years just to get a degree, and then there's no guarantee that I'm going to get a job with that degree.
That's right.
Whereas doing this, if I'm going to commit, 3 to 4 years of internships and education and so forth, there's a fairly high level of confidence that I'm going to be able to get out and get a good paying job. So are adults able to get involved with this too?
That is absolutely right. And I don't want to, I have to be careful because we're forming a relationship with two Fortune 500s, and we are actually going to be the arm or an extension of their program, and they're going to send adults to us that want to go into these career fields. But I can't say who they are right now, which I will be able to release it in about another 2 or 3 weeks,
Okay.
because we're doing all the paperwork right now. But yes, even besides those organizations, yes, the power of what we're doing is so powerful now that larger companies are starting to hear about it, and instead of them trying to do what we're doing, they just said, "Hey, you know what, you do what you do, you're good at it, we're just going to send our employees to you."
That's
So yes, adults
fantastic.
can get involved with this.
Okay, so how does anyone reach you to get involved and find out more information about this?
You can either email us, admin@innovatetechcharlotte.org, or you can go to our website and you can just sign up, which our flyer is also on our website, or you can just sign up to be in our program.
And the website is innovatetechcharlotte.com or
It's, yep,
.org.
my apologies, it's innovatetechcharlotte.org.
Okay, .org. So folks, remember that when you're dealing with a nonprofit, it's .org, not .com. Paul, hey, listen, I'm really impressed. I think what you're doing is just phenomenal, and to have been able to get that purpose suddenly really understood within yourself, and those, as you say, those gifts, and being willing to actually magnify those gifts that you have, and now helping so many people, and obviously in the future hundreds of thousands, if not more, people. What a blessing.
Thank you very much. And before I go and everything, I would like to say, even I would tell people to be themselves. I know even myself, the way I look, the hat, the beard, and everything, I look different. And to some certain degree, I can understand how some people would not understand that. But being yourself is the most powerful thing in the world. I see people as seeds that grow, but you have to be in that dirt, and that dirt as a seed is darkness, but you have to plow through that darkness in order to get to that light, and that's being you. So once you find you and who you are and you're comfortable with that, then the world will be comfortable. And that comes with a little bit of confidence as well.
Amen to that. Well, Paul, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And folks, thanks for listening today. Hope you enjoy it. And, for those of you that recognize where technology is going and how you might be able to, either for yourself or for any of your children, have an opportunity here, get over to innovatetechcharlotte.org and get some more information. Paul, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Doug. I appreciate you.
You bet. And folks, thanks again for listening, and we look forward to having you join us soon.